In the quiet of night, a sudden crash shatters the peace around Sarah's home, hinting at unforeseen terror. A mother's world turns upside down as Sarah finds Lily pointing in fear at the still form of Jack. Sarah rushes to Jack's side, her heart pounding as she sees her son lying motionless on the ground. Desperation floods her voice as Sarah cries out, "My son, he's unconscious. Please help me." As sirens wail in the distance, a voice echoes, offering a fragile promise. "Please remain calm, help is on the way." The interrogation room is cold and sterile, the fluorescent light casting harsh shadows. Sarah sits rigidly, her eyes betraying her anxiety as she looks at the officers. An officer leans forward, his expression stern. "We received a report about possible child abuse." Sarah's voice cracks with desperation. "I called you for help. I would never hurt my children." The air thickens with unspoken accusations, the weight of suspicion pressing down on Sarah. Months later, Sarah stands in the tense courtroom, the weight of the proceedings heavy on her shoulders. Her lawyer presents evidence, highlighting the accidental nature of Jack's fall. The prosecution counters, arguing for continued state protection, adding to Sarah's exhaustion. With resolute desperation, Sarah pleads, "I love my children more than anything. Please give them back to me. I promise to protect them." What Sarah didn't know at the time was that the paramedics, during their rushed assessment, had noticed bruises on Jack's body. Small, faint marks that raised questions. Questions that led to assumptions that her son's injuries were not the result of an accident, but something far darker. Her plea for help had turned into a nightmare. The hours that followed felt like a blur. Sarah was interrogated, her every word scrutinized, while Jack was taken to the hospital. It wasn't until much later that she was allowed to speak with a lawyer, who informed her that social services had been contacted. They wanted to ensure the safety of her children. Jack and Lily were taken from her that night. The state believed it was for their protection, but to Sarah, it felt like a betrayal. How had everything gone so wrong? She had called 911 in desperation, hoping for help, and instead, she had lost everything. The investigation into her case dragged on for weeks. Sarah was forced to navigate a complex legal system, fighting to regain custody of her children. Every day felt like an uphill battle. She was accused, investigated, and judged by people who didn't know her love for her children, didn't know how hard she had worked to raise them. Every moment was filled with the dread of losing them forever. It wasn't until months later, after all the paperwork, the meetings with social workers, and the endless court appearances, that the truth came to light. The bruises on Jack's body were not from abuse. They were from an accident, a fall he had taken while playing in the yard. But by then, the damage had been done. She had called for help, and they had taken her children instead. But Sarah wasn't ready to give up. She fought tooth and nail for her kids, learning everything she could about the legal system, fighting for her rights, and standing up against the injustice she had faced. Eventually, she was reunited with her children, but the scars from that night would remain with her forever. What should have been a simple call for help had turned into a nightmare that would change her life forever. Sarah would never forget the moment when she reached out for support, only to have everything she held dear ripped away from her. In summary, Sarah, a struggling single mother of two, called 911 in a panic after her young son Jack was found unconscious in the backyard following a frightening noise and apparent accident. She acted out of love and desperation, seeking emergency medical help. Paramedics arrived and began treating Jack, but they also noticed bruises on his body, which they suspected might be signs of abuse. Soon after, police arrived and questioned Sarah, eventually taking her to the station for investigation. Her daughter Lily was left behind, and both children were placed into protective custody by social services while the case was reviewed. Though Sarah had only sought help for her injured child, she was treated like a suspect. The legal process that followed was grueling and traumatic. Sarah faced interrogations and a drawn-out court battle, accused of harming her child despite no evidence. Eventually, it was proven that Jack's injuries were accidental, not abusive. After months of emotional and legal hardship, Sarah was finally reunited with her children. What began as a mother's plea for help turned into a harrowing experience of loss and injustice, revealing the unintended consequences that can occur when systems designed to protect make premature assumptions.